The first time I knew I was a born actress is when I started telling, my brother's 8 years younger than me. He was born on the same day I was born, and henceforth I considered him mine. And I would entertain and fill his head. It was my drawer to put stuff into. And so I did. I entertained my brother, and I realized I was an actress. This guy was fascinated by me, and I would tell him fairy tales that I invented. That's when I found out I was an actress. And it wasn't work. It came naturally.
Hello and welcome to Artifacts, a living archive dedicated to preserving the first-person stories of queer, avant-garde, and underground culture, told by those who lived it. Today's episode is part of our series Silver Factory, an enthralling journey through Andy Warhol's factory, whose inhabitants included an array of characters from socialites to superstars and speed freaks. In this episode, we turn to Mary Woronov, the fearless performer, writer, and painter who mixed beauty and fierce intelligence. From her roles in The Chelsea Girls to her devastating performances with the Velvet Underground, Woronov embodied the factory scene at its height. This interview captures Mary's sharp reflection on art, identity, and rebellion, and the enduring legacy of a generation that refused to play it safe. Let's begin.
Well, first of all, I mean, I think my mom sent me to Cornell because I would then, find somebody, that I could marry. I mean, I think that's why most girls went to Cornell then. But that wasn't an option for me. The way I got into it was, to be a sculpture major, because I thought many women wouldn't go into sculpture, and I was right. So I got in. I'm a sculpture major. And Cornell was a very square party school at that time. It was just before they became, interested in the Negro cause down south, just before they became political, and certainly before they became SDS and things like that. So they were a square party school, and I didn't really fit into that mode. I didn't want to be in a sorority. And for me, I think I tried to fit in, though, and I didn't get anywhere. I think that the kind of guys that I liked, that I thought were cute, didn't really relate to me. Now, I have to tell you that I was marching around, in pants, in these giant boots, and I was, working with a blowtorch, and I was, like, kind of fierce. I just didn't look very cute. And so the guys that I liked just didn't like me. And I like kind of macho kind of guys, the bane of my life, supposedly. I mean, But when I found out that they didn't like me, I took it very personally. And rather than go after them and make an asshole of myself, what I started to do was, if I couldn't be with them, then I could, this is very peculiar thinking, but I could sort of enjoy the same thing by becoming them. In other words, I couldn't, be liked by them, but I could take on their attributes and copy them and, have a hair comb like them, and I could enjoy them that way. I could enjoy, like being them. So I used to, like stand around like this. And I used to be extremely butch, but it wasn't really, like a lesbian kind of butch. I wasn't interested in attracting girls. As a matter of fact, I've never liked girls. But it was just copying what I liked. I was like copying my idols. So when I say I acted like a guy, I did a really good job. I mean, I didn't ducktail my hair. I still had long hair. I still looked like a girl, but I dressed like a guy and I walked around like a guy, and I talked to guys like guys too. And I swore in front of them, and I took drugs, and if they couldn't handle it, it was just too fucking bad. And a lot of them didn't. A lot of them really disliked me. I could not believe the way I alienated my prey. They really didn't like me, but I did attract weirdos. I attracted arty guys and weird guys, and I attracted the kind of seedy dark characters. They thought I was really funny. Like most of them were poets, and most of them were into their own act. They were imitating Cassidy or Kerouac or whatever, being beatniks, and they had drugs. And these guys had Coca-Cola bottles filled with white powder, speed. I mean, there was just so much. So we met, they loved me, and I began, my career as an eclectic weirdo. And I really didn't become fascinated with anybody. I did become fascinated with one guy who was a poet, and he ended up, bawling my best friend, so I really didn't like him. I kept score in my head, man. I was a vicious scorekeeper. But his best friend, not his best friend, but certainly his best poet friend, was Gerard. And that's how I met Gerard. I mean, you have to picture this. It's like the 50s, all of these, butch guys. They're, in the summer they wore Bermuda shorts, and in the winter they wore khakis with loafers, and they had little clips in their ties. And then suddenly, Gerard shows up. He's wearing a necklace. He's got, like girl blonde hair, like about this long. He's posing like this. He's got black leather pants. I mean, he was strange. Nothing I'd ever seen. Yeah. And of course, the first thing he said to me is, not I hate you, or not, would you like, to date me? He said, can I make a movie of you? Yeah, you can. And he did. He made Mary on Trip Hammer Bridge, Mary, standing by the gorge, yak, yak, yak. Which is why when I went to Warhol, I was not afraid of the camera. Gerard already made 3 movies of me on campus at Cornell. I really didn't know that much about him. Obviously, he was strange and he didn't function the way I knew most boys to function. Mm-hmm. So I was very polite with him in the beginning, and he was very polite with me. But the thing was not that he never said, let's have a love affair. And in fact, I got this letter later on stating that wasn't why he was attracted to me. He wanted a star to be in Andy Warhol's movies with. And I believe that is why he came after me. Now, as far as nobody had to tell me what to do in front of the camera. I was, was just there. I mean, he said, walk across Trip Hammer Bridge. Well, I walked across Trip Hammer Bridge with so much attitude. I mean, it was interesting. It wasn't just a girl walking across Trip Hammer Bridge. Things were going through my mind. So I was a natural. When I say I was advanced, Gerard was far advanced than me. He was, this man, he didn't do anything without posing. Maybe he slept. I think he even posed in his sleep. He knew all about that kind of stuff. And that's why he wanted to be the male lead in Warhol's films. And he should have been a little movie star, not Joe D'Alessandro, although Joe is a really good actor. But Joe couldn't do what Gerard did. Gerard was good. I think that Warhol purposely did not use Gerard to torture him. I really do. Why didn't he use him? Everybody else did. So anyway, then Cornell decides that my class should take a trip down to New York, and they should, visit all of the studios of all the great artists. And so we saw Rauschenberg's studio, and lo and behold, we're taken into Warhol's studio, which doesn't look like any, Rauschenberg's studio is all white, and it's got, like paintings on the walls, and, everybody else's studio is just a white box, and Warhol's studio was like black, and it's got tinfoil on the walls. And, it's like dark. It's like chiaroscuro. It's like, you can't even see to the end of it. And there are no paintings on the walls. I didn't see any paintings. And there's no, there's like a table with some silk screening stuff on it. But, and, people would like come out of the murky blackness and sort of, say hello to you and walk by. It was like insane. It was not like, it was like, a subway stop or something. It wasn't like a studio. And what happened is, the class filed in. The minute the class filed in, Warhol left. Wasn't there. And out of the darkness, Gerard trotted and said, oh, hi, Mary. And why don't you stay and do a movie with Warhol? So I said, okay. But I'd been accustomed to him. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary. Yeah. Me and my girlfriend talked one of the bar owners It was called Leonardo's. We talked him into erecting a stage so that we could dance in front of boys. And we got our own costumes together and we danced night after night after night for hours. And we just, because it was better to dance in front of them than to dance with one stupid guy who's just going, why not have 5 of them or, 20 of them going, I wore very butch. I mean, and we didn't get into, like nudity, girly, but we didn't dance like with pasties or stuff like that. We danced, I always wore the same thing. I had a Garrison belt, with a buckle on the side. I had, black jeans that were skin tight, motorcycle boots, and a t-shirt, that was all cut up. And that's all I wore. Yeah, I looked like a fag. I looked like a gay guy, I really did. And I had taken a trip to Provincetown. That's probably where I got that. I'd spent a whole summer in Provincetown. And that's where I think I got that costume together. Certainly it's where I learned to wear my Garrison belt on the side as opposed to in front. I knew it was sexual. I knew, the idea of whore never came into my mind. I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew I liked a lot of them better than one. And I knew that I was expressing something they could not get anywhere else. They can listen to all the rock and roll they like. Until they see me dancing, then they have a visual expression of what it is. And I could manufacture that for them. It's just like my brother's brain. It's not much different. I'm sure everybody wanted to see a little more. Want is better than have. That was my motivation. I knew that. You want to want. You do not want me. You don't want to have me. That would be a grave mistake. It was, watch me dance, it was like something else. What the fuck is going on? That's what you want. Mystery, mystery, mystery.
Yeah. Yep.
The other makes them feel like pimps. They don't want to feel that way. Yeah, I was already doing what I was supposed to do with the Velvets. I knew what to do, but Gerard was insane. When he handed me the whip, I knew what to do with it. And it was not that I knew anything about S&M. At that stage of the game, I did not know anything about S&M. Of course, now, you can't walk out the door without knowing everything about S&M, and it's really kind of boring. But at that period, you'd have to look to find out, who the fuck Betty Page was or whatever. Then he just handed me the whip. I knew instinctively what to do with it, and it was a very naive concept, but the naivety is what made it great. And so he and I, danced with a whip, which is a symbol in a certain way, and the dance was highly erotic, and yet it was highly naive. And so the Velvet songs were like very, very strange too. It's just the more strangeness, the better.
When you first heard, like, Venus in Furs or Waiting for My Man?
Waiting for My Man, we didn't use the whip. Waiting for My Man, I lifted weights. It was ingenious. That was Gerard's idea. It's totally ingenious. For heroin, Gerard danced with a giant pink syringe that was at least this big. It was a joke. And, he did everything with it, and I would go around like, I would dance like this, like the perfect junkie pose. But, he committed suicide on the syringe, he offered it, he, twirled around with it, everything. It was fabulous. But it wasn't anything choreographed or anything like that. It was us relating to the music, exactly what I did at Leonardo's. The music says this, I can give you an image of that. It's unspeakable. You can't describe it. You can't tell anybody about it. You can't nail it down. The fact that you can't nail it down and I can interpret it is what you want.
You think?
And with Venus in Furs, I think we danced with whips in that. And certainly I listened to the, Lou Reed was far along in S&M. He'd gone through, he'd done his homework. I didn't know who Masoch was or whoever no idea. I mean, I found out through them, but you could listen to the words of Venus in Furs and it was pretty obvious. And I took my place And my place was given to me by Gerard. Gerard always went down for me. I didn't go down for him. And that was his decision. But it was both of our decisions because my attitude was of strength and his was of crucifixion, you know, of not so much of victim, but of, you know, that tortured love or whatever, you know, you're ripped open by the harpies. But not me. When you're on the inside, when you're on the in crowd, as it were, like we would go to a house in Philadelphia, you know, that very, very rich people were having Warhol come to. And so they would have a party, and then Warhol would arrive, and that would make them very in. And people just look so stupid because, I mean, actually, if I was one of them, we would have looked so stupid. There we are, dressed in black, you know, needles hanging out of our ears, you know, can't even, you know, take our sunglasses off. Can't eat, although the food is fabulous. Only talk to each other, never talk to anybody else. I mean, you know, the most repressed group in the world. But, and here these people are, you know, they're playing tennis, they're having a great time, they're fabulously wonderful, you know. So who was the fool? But nevertheless, we were the in crowd. So suddenly they looked stupid. And by Jove, they acted stupid. It's really amazing. I don't know how that happened, but boy, did they act dumb. Classless, dumb. I don't know. Yeah. The whole thing about the in-group was just really frightening. It's not really a social thing that I'm really pleased with. Mm-hmm. 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 And I think it's one of the dumber things that happened. Well, for one thing, the whole factory gave us, I mean, we weren't just jerks. We were part of Andy's troupe. And he is a giant artist. By that time, he was a pop artist, and people were listening to him. And there were other, you know, Rauschenberg had his troupe. So, in other words, you're not just, you know, some fly-by-night freak. You're a part of an art group. And so we had that validity to us. That's why he had all of us up there at the factory, because we were all weirdos. Well, not so much me, but certainly Billy, Bridget, Undine, the insane people that were up there. He liked them because they were not socially adapted to rules. And they were nuts. He liked that. Certainly there's nothing more chaotic than a person who's nuts. Yeah, yeah. Usually they're locked up.
Yeah, yeah.
He invited them in and felt fine, you know, letting them figure out their own rules. Like, for instance, Billy would, you know, organize this chaos and keep... Billy's somebody from the street. He has no... I mean, he's... And because Andy gave him validity, people would let Billy into their house where all of their art objects were, and Billy would decide who would come into the house and not come into the house. It's insane. But nevertheless, that's what happened. And he trusted that. He was... until he got shot. I wasn't around when he got shot, but afterwards I visited him and things were very changed. Everybody had fake names. But I didn't care for the name that they gave me, and I didn't want a fake name.
What do you think he's getting at with using that name? I mean, that particular name, Mary Might.
Because I was a gender switcher, and because women are supposed to be feminine, and I was very strong, and that's why it was Mary Might. Because I was very forceful, for a girl. There is another one. What, do you want to know it?
Yeah, I want to know it.
Mary, and then it's PFFFFT. He thought that was very clever because my name is not really Mary Woronov. My real name is Mary Peter Piffith. And no one can say Piffith, and he really thought it was very, very funny, and so he said, well, we should just call you Mary Pft. I said, no. No, Andy. No. My AK is Mary Woronov. My stepfather is Woronov. My real father is Pipit. He's Hungarian. The other thing is that Andy himself, as you say, is not... well, in fact, Andy didn't do anything, and that was his main thing. He did not restrict us in any way. He didn't ever give us any, direction in any of the movies. He didn't, the only thing he would do was mildly complain, which he did all the time. I mean, no, I didn't. But then if you listen to his complaints, it was like he was always, like, everybody thinks this is really pretty. Don't you think this is pretty, Andy? No, I like it the other way. But nobody likes it that way, Andy, but I do. He was always picking the opposite, constantly throwing everything into whack like this. Which brings me to the chaos thing. I mean, he understood chaos, he created it, and in chaos you can do whatever you like. You don't have any rules. And so it's the most creative atmosphere you can have. He always picked the wrong thing. And it wasn't an accident. I don't think he ever did anything accidentally. He knew that. He knew to say the opposite thing. And the other thing that he would do is not take a stand. I cannot tell you how many times we stood on a corner waiting for him to decide if we should go left or right, and we'd stand there if it was up to him, we'd stand there all night and all day, and he wouldn't make a decision. And yet he's capable of it. He was capable of making decisions right away. I mean, when he did make them, they were like, that's it. There was no question. Nobody pushed him around. But he would, Andy, he just liked that. He liked that area. When he was directing a film, it was insane. He wouldn't say anything. And yet, that very vacuum of his not doing anything and constantly retreating made everybody come after him, made people act who had never acted before because they were trying to get to him. And then all of a sudden their voice came out, and all of a sudden they were doing things. And it's because he retreated. Instead of barking orders and telling him what to do, he would retreat backwards. You wouldn't hear a word from him. He wouldn't say anything. So it was interesting. But he dealt with most people, and he wasn't that interested in actors. He was interested in, people who were odd. He wanted a different kind of thing than acting. And he got it. He got it without using plot. He got it without using direction. He got it without using, he would not use anything and see, he could start it from the very beginning. He didn't say, Mary, you're not doing the right thing, and he filmed me. He didn't cut me out.
Exactly.
He went along with it. So there was discussion between two people who had respect for each other artistically. But it was a non-discussion. And in his words, not in his words, in his mind, I do believe that he thought discussing things made an end of it. Then you were dealing secondhand, and he didn't want to do that. I know what he wants. He wants that, that line. And he got it most of the time. I memorized everything. I was given a script, I memorized it. Just like in a play. But no one else did. No one else knew anything. So obviously, not only did I know what to say, but they didn't. So this is another reason for my supreme rule over them. They're stupid, I'm smart. And also, if somebody feeds you a line and you don't know what to say to them, you go, and hence you lose, you lose status in, and Warhol never cut or anything, so they were just left hanging. That was brilliant, 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 because if you do not cut, then maybe I knew a line, but there's obviously a fuck up everywhere, and you must not just improv, because there's nothing going on, but you have a certain falseness because you know that this is, a movie, but then you have to go into this weird world of it's not a movie and yet it's not real life, and that's where he wanted it. And the only way you get that is to not cut, and therefore you're stuck there. I was set up as Hannah to play, if we are going to discuss anything that has S&M qualities, certainly to play the sadistic role. I knew what to do instinctively. Gerard is like, crucified, with mock agony and everything, and I'm given candles, I'm supposed to drip wax on him, And I don't do any of that really, but it's all in my attitude, and and it's almost like a cabaret, the guy in Cabaret. It's that kind of attitude I had. Instead of just being, a doctor torturing him, I was like, and now, what do we, is this insane thing that I dreamt up? So I had already done this by the time Chelsea Girls came around. My problem is that if anything became too sexual, I would balk, because I was not into the perverted end of it. I would not take off my clothes. I would not do something too sexual. And sometimes I pick the opposite, like there's a scene with Gerard and Marie. I decided to be, not talk. I'm sure it drove him nuts. Because I wanted to do the opposite of what happened to me in Chelsea Girls. I understood what was going on. And so I wanted a companion piece that was the opposite. What happened with me is that I always assumed that, Andy would provide everything and I would work for nothing, because it was a collaboration. After I did Chelsea Girls, Paul Morrissey came up to me and wanted me to sign something saying that I had nothing to do. It was no longer a collaboration. I was to sign something saying that I was, paid and somebody directed me. Nobody directed me. It was very humiliating, and that's why I was upset and refused to sign. I mean, in a collaboration where you have a happening or anything like that, you're responsible for what you do in that happening. And I was responsible for all of Chelsea Girls. I was not directed. Nobody costumed me. Nobody did my makeup. I did what I wanted with the script. And therefore, it seemed to me that I should not sign this thing saying that, for $20 I was paid. Bullshit. And he said, well, Mary, unless you sign this, we can't get, our book deal. So I told him to go fry himself. Jerk. He just wanted me to sign it.
Yep.
Anyway, that was my problem with Andy. Now, I never asked Andy for any money. There were many people there who were very rich, and they did that as entertainment. Andy was their entertainment. There were people who did not have money, and Andy gave them money. Andy gave Holly money. If you interview her, she has to say he gave her money, because he did. I don't think it was a social group. Andy actually worked them, and they contributed. But they made it a social thing. And maybe for Andy it was social, for as far as boys go, but, I mean, who's going to say, oh, this is my idea that all these people get together? People get together.
Yeah.
Everybody was very thrilled that it was the in crowd. I mean, you'd go somewhere else and say you'd been in Warhol's factory, and my God, they'd think you were, Jesus. So it wasn't like we weren't gaining something from it. Yeah, gender slipping. He's fascinated by that. I mean, that's why so many drag queens were around. But I was doing it the opposite way. And it wasn't because I was gay. It wasn't, like Dyke. It was just insane gender slipping. Why was she doing this? There was no reason for me to do it. I wasn't ugly. I was gorgeous. Didn't matter. Did not matter. Man. I mean, from the way I smoked my cigarette like a man to what I did, it was all copying these hunky boys whom I was, secretly in love with, but too proud to ever, do something feminine for them. So he was fascinated with that. That is, I think, the main reason why he liked me, or he was interested in me. Because I was doing it all on my own, all out of left field. I mean, he'd seen plenty of, the drag queens and guys going, into feminine. But he hadn't seen my version ever. No one did that. I mean, there was Edie, and there was Velvet, and there was, they were all girls. I mean, there were a lot of dyke girls around, but that was something else. He tried desperately to film Orion. Orion was something else. She was not that way. She wasn't into gender slipping. She was into spiritually gender slipping. But Orione, I have to give Orione credit here. I mean, Orione is known for dressing up like a man and going to the baths with Undine. I mean, you know, that was far beyond what I'd do. But anyway, she just had a pair of balls, man, that were iron. I didn't have balls like her. But she wasn't into this constant, you know, day-by-day gender slipping where, you know, you just look like a guy all the time and run around posing like one. It was absurd. I looked like a, you know, if my hair was short, I would have looked gay. I mean, there were other drag queens around, and they were just drag queens, like Brandy Alexander. I mean, you know, she was just a drag queen. How boring. Candy, Darling, Jackie especially, and Holly, they were into not being a perfect drag queen. Jackie especially was into being a bad drag queen. You know, like her stockings were ripped. She would act like a guy. She certainly wasn't into this, you know, perfect Las Vegas thing. Candy, also, it was more about a statement they were making. They were furious. Absolutely fucking enraged. And they liked pushing the image of a woman on a man's body in everybody's face. They weren't that interested in passing. They were interested in throwing it at you so that I don't pass. What are you going to do with it? Which is very political at the time. I mean, that was the time of Stonewall. I mean, it was against the law. I mean, you know, their favorite joke was, you know, this drag queen, you know, spent a couple of nights out, you know, and she had like a growth of beard. I mean, they loved that. That was really cool to them. They loved Francis Francine, who was this insane truck driver who liked to dress. I don't even think he was gay, but he liked to dress up. He looked ridiculous. They loved that. They were not interested in the perfect pass. I mean, Holly Woodlawn had been the perfect pass for years. When she came to Warhol, she wasn't interested in perfect pass anymore. If anything, she was interested in overpassing. She wasn't just a girl. She was the girl. She was, you know, Madonna and, you know, everything else wrapped into one. Hello. I mean, I'm over girl. I don't just wear a mink. I wear 5. And there's a bird over here, too. And 16 diamonds over here. And it was insanity. Candy Darling was a constant movie. She didn't walk around like a girl. It was like, yes, I'm Greta Garbo. Do you want peas or carrots? I'm Greta Garbo. I really don't have to make a choice. I mean, and Jackie was rude. Yeah, fuck you. I mean, that's not a girl. And Candy was the opposite. It was like, I'm sorry, I can't drink that. It's in a can. Girls don't drink in cans. I can't drink that. Okay, we'll get you a glass. Thank you. It was nuts.
Yeah.
Holly Woodlawn arrives, you know, it was almost like the queens when they used to dress up for Mardi Gras. It was that insane. And it had been done in private, I'm sure, by many, many queens, but they did it in public. First of all, she would, you know, her beard was always growing through her makeup. I mean, she'd wear a black bra. You know, she was constantly going like this. You know, like, I mean, it was, and then, you know, she'd overact the way she was supposed to be acting so that it was an insult to you, or it was excruciatingly funny. And if it wasn't funny, then you were insulted. Too bad. But it was insane gender slipping. It was, I mean, that's what I mean. She was not passing. There were plenty of girls who passed. And they were boring, and we didn't really have much to do with them. We wanted overpass. We wanted, you know, not pass. That's what we were interested in. Certainly the drag queens were around.
Yeah.
Maybe Andy did not put them on film, but they were around. I mean, maybe he didn't appreciate it as much as, you know, like the theater of the ridiculous. The major thing about the Disintegration were these paranoid rumors. I mean, in the beginning, you know, people would say, oh, Warhol is using you. And I heard that in the beginning, but I never paid attention to it. when it disintegrated, people started paying attention to it and being, you know, bitter, and also the drugs, you know. Too many drugs, you know, you're not the same person when you're so fucking loaded. People are dying, for Christ's sake. I mean, kind of makes you depressed,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, one of the things that Warhol was always very, very, how would you say it? He was always very, very pro, was the idea that nothing remains the same, always change, change, change. And we were not into keeping that, you know, keeping the status quo. We really weren't. Change was good. It wasn't necessarily growth, unless you believe in the silver lining, but it was good. I mean, who cares if it's better or worse? And with that attitude, you know, we didn't run around saving things. If things were bad, things are bad. We didn't run around saving relationships. It's fucked up? Oh, fine, never see her again. Drop her. You can't, you know, can't keep things going when you feel like that. Everything that we thought was, you know, very, very chic and very, very hot, of course now is passé, so it looks really dumb. No, it's not valueless, because at the time, I needed that experience, and at the time, society needed that experience. But I mean, I believe that most history is cyclical, and we don't really progress anywhere. And we were so, you know, interested in progression at the time. I mean, even, you know, the fact that we didn't think we were going to have a Vietnam War again, the fact that, you know, all of these things are dumb. None of them are true. I was very idealistic then. I realize now, not the case. I thought that the ideals I had were the ones that I were taught. They were very moral and they were very pure. I realize now that they are dreams. They're not realistic. And I thought they were realistic and I could attain them. There's nothing wrong with having those dreams, though, and now I use them in writing, you know. But believe me, they don't exist. That as an artist, you communicated information to your society and you were respected for it. Tell that to a gallery dealer. And also, I was very, very filled with pop art, and I now believe that, you know, pop art was probably, you know, the beginning of the horrible end of art. I mean, I like most of these artists very much, but say, you know, Barbara Kruger's work, an angry sign screaming at me, that's not beautiful. I believe in beauty. That doesn't happen anymore, and Warhol was the beginning of that, you know, the sarcastic, you know, sneering at society, Campbell's soup can, you know. So that was the beginning. And so I really don't like it anymore, but, you know, when I was with Andy, I just thought it was amazingly wonderful.
Do you think you...
But I did have a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had much more fun then than I'm having now. Society was very, very, I mean, they really did believe in ideals, and you can have much more fun in a society that does that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they sincerely believed that, you know, art wasn't about money. They really did. They didn't think that that was a criteria. I mean, I have to laugh now, but it's true. Then they felt that way, and lots of people felt that way, and they were just beginning to make the lofts in Soho, and it was so much fun. You have no idea. These people were really dedicated. It was wonderful.
Artifacts is a free oral histories platform. Please like, subscribe, and visit our website, www.artifacts.movie, for an ad-free, interactive experience with bonus content. If you're able, please make a tax-deductible donation at www.artifacts.movie/donate. Hit the link on screen to watch another Artifacts interview.